Hello, everyone. So, dear colleagues, dear partners, and I would call dear friends, I would like to thank you, first of all, for your time today. And me and my team, we are extremely happy to have this presentation today. It was actually very difficult and long path to finally be here and to present you main functionalities of our system, which you already heard we call Ambiflows. Um, yeah, so I mean, we're very thankful for your patience, and we are really sorry actually that it took so much time. And that I would like to briefly describe why it happened. So the major thing is that we decided to implement very secured system, and it is actually not one system, but two systems: the portal and the back end, as we call them, and they are two subsystems. So the portal is the one where you would connect to book our services and to have needed information, and the backend is kind of, I would call, the engine where all the processes are being run and calculations made. So backend does not have direct connection to internet, and this is why it is very secure. But because of that, both subsystems have to always exchange necessary information, which actually impacted the need of additional efforts to finalize Ambiflows. Another issue was to establish proper data exchange between Ambiflow system and the other major partners systems. So we took a long, to have smooth conversation to find common dots on finding the needed decisions. And last but not least, different hourly and daily regimes at our different entry and exit points. It was really a challenge to implement different principles at different points. I mean, these differences about daily and hourly regimes. For sure, system is not perfect, and at the moment, and it might happen that, especially at the beginning of the start, we might face some problems. But for that reason, uh, we need we need your patience once more, and I would like to actually encourage you. Do not hesitate to contact us if you would find that something is not going like you expected in the system. We actually allocated additional resources as well as our partners who created the system. So we think we would be ready to provide you all the necessary help you would need. So I wish you good presentation, and I hope that Ambiflows will make your daily routines easier from the very beginning of the go live of the system, which is gonna take part at the 1st of October. So one more time, thank you for your patience. Big thanks goes also to my team uh, because they worked really hard day and night to finally get here and to present you those functionalities. So you have a nice presentation, and Julius, please, the floor is yours.
So hello everyone. My name is Julius. I work as a client manager at Client Group in Ambergrid. I will be introducing the system itself and also to show some functionalities of Amberflows. So in the beginning, the first question is why the new system is needed. So the most important and key element was, as Justus already mentioned, the safety, the security of it, because in the current system we had one login for each company, and now with several users, you can have separate user accounts in just one company. Also, the more user-friendly interface will be available, more accurate data. Also, in the future, we hope that less manual work will take part when we provide the possibility for you to use the API services to change the data using AS4 protocol and EDIGAS messages. A little bit about the system provider. The software was developed and created by a Hungarian IT company called Metasoft. They have multiple years experience in this field, providing such services to other system operators and also energy suppliers. The really familiar and similar system is in our neighboring system operator Connexus, Baltic Grid, and Elering. So who are using that system, it will seem really familiar, and maybe that will make the start a little bit easier. About several functionalities which will be available at the beginning. So contract data, user account, as well as capacity, which we will be able to book capacity, use secondary market trading, as well to surrender capacity, also to see the consumption capacities, also to nominate. Additional functionalities will be suggested for you a little bit later, such as invoices and account information, and also the possibility to use API services. Regarding that stages, so from the 1st of October, we will start only from user data, capacities, and nominations. On second stage, billing information and all the invoices should be presented. This will hopefully happen sometime next year. As well with the API service, which we know that many of you are really interested. So this will still have to wait a little bit, but it will happen eventually. So regarding the invoices and billing information, after the initial start, all the information regarding that should be still looked into the current system, the older one, and until the further notice, that information should be searched in there. Now regarding, I think, the portal itself, when you click on the initial link, you will be redirected to the this page. It doesn't have many information as such, only sign in button and need help button. What need help button does, it creates a email template in which you can just write to us in case that you have some questions. If not, we will click on sign in page. Then you will be asked to put your credentials, username. Username usually is email address, and password. At the initial login, you will have to click Forgot Password button and add your email address as username. Then you will receive an email with all the instructions, and you will be able to create your password in that case, and also to be able to sign to the system itself. So at the home page, it looks like this. Not many information right now. In the future, we hopefully have some more data starting here, maybe some statistical data. For now, the instruction, the user manual will be stored here. So in case you have some questions or some difficulties, first of most, please don't hesitate to use the user manual. If some additional questions occur which you cannot find the answers in there, please also contact us directly. All the main buttons and functions are stored in the top part. So 4 main function tabs, about them a little bit later. In the top right corner, there is a system user. So it usually is one, but in some cases it can be a few companies which you represent. So here you will be able to select those. A little bit further is date and time. Next to it is language selector. So the system runs on 2 languages now, English and Lithuanian. And also some information regarding profile. So who is working, what company do you represent, and also some system information, and also the sign out button. Basically, that's it. Each time you click on AmberGrid logo, you will be redirected to homepage in the end. So regarding those main 4 tabs, administration, I will leave in the end, but we'll start from the capacity. Capacity has 4 main functions. The first one is offered capacities, as the name suggests. It provides you the list of all the possible, for that moment, capacities for you to book. It is really kind of easy. A lot of pages because we have a lot of domestic exit points. So it's really helpful to use the filter above in order to sort out the necessary product for which you need to make a request. And in order to book that, how the capacity is booked is kind of really easy. You click on the necessary line, the request capacity button activates. You push on it, it what kind of connection point, what kind of product, the validity of it, that so on. Then you have to type necessary amount which you have to want to book. So for example, 100 kilowatts, the minimal quantity. Here, if you leave this as 1, then in a case when the system after allocation reduces the amount, it will know that you are sufficient if the system should provide you a little bit less than 100. If I would leave 100, then the system knows that you want 100 or 0. Then if some interruption occurs, then system will not allocate necessary amount to you and leave it as 0. So this is important in some cases, so keep that in mind. I click submit. I will be asked additional if yes, yes. So auction bid was successfully submitted. Above the filter, there is 3 additional tabs. So first one is offered capacities, where all the capacities are stored. Next to it is requested capacities. So this is where the all the requests are being stored. As you can now see, the request for the 24th of for Akmenės DSS was accepted successfully. All the locations are being done in that case each hour. So around 11 AM, the system will process this request and should allocate it to us. And it should go to the confirmed capacity products, where all the capacity products which you already possess and they are allocated to you should be stored. Important thing, not all capacities can be booked here, because as you maybe already know, we have some bundled capacity products at Kemenai and Santaka point. So Kemenai is administrated by Connexus Baltic Grid in their platform, and Santaka is administrated by auction operator GSA. So all the necessary requests on booking capacities should take in their platforms, and all the information would be transmitted automatically here from them. So no additional input is required. Only if you need some capacities at domestic exit points and, for example, Klaipėda LNG point, then you should book them in here. Also, important thing that, as Justas already mentioned, we have such a hybrid system, because at Santaka point we have kilowatts per hour regime, and on all other points it's kilowatt per day. So the system was adopted to use such principle. So when you review the capacities, it's really important for you to check the units. For example, Santaka can have capacity booked from 12 AM or 12 PM till 7. So it's important when it comes to nomination process, because according to the capacity, you will be able to nominate. If it's daily, then it's usually from 7 till 7. And that's it, basically. Not many additional information here to provide you. It's we hope it's really simple. So additional next topic is capacity secondary trading. Here you will be able to submit a request, both parties, when you are trying to sell the capacity which you own to other system users. So both parties have to do this, and this also can be done only for basically all the domestic exit points and Klaipėdos LNG. The same situation as with offered capacities for Santaka and Kemnai. Those requests have to be submitted to adjacent operators, and that information will automatically reach us. So how it is done, basically click new. We type in the transaction ID, which is basically arranged by both counterparties. It's really important that this transaction ID should match on both sides, because if not, it will be rejected in the end. So if I type, for example, 3, I put the validity, for example, check what capacity do I have to sell, for example. Deferred off. Sell counterparty is necessary to be provided only by the buyer, so the another side will do that. I, for example, type in the direction, quantity, the available capacity, and it's usually capacity type here is always unbundled, and I submit the request. If I go to filter, it was rejected for some case, maybe. Oh, so the capacity was not, maybe I do not have the capacity on that point. Let me check again. See that I have a deferred. Interesting why it didn't reject it. So let's maybe try it again with some other connection point, for example. I know that I have the capacity for Klaipėdos point. Now, okay. Bundled. Yeah, so what in the end, the secondary trading request was accepted by the system. The same should be done by the other counterparty. Just all the information is the same basically, but he has to provide that he is buying, and also to provide the other counterparty for whom is buying it. So now it's a AGA test 1. So in that case, in the end, after both parties done that, the system will process this, and later the accepted status will be made into the confirmed one. So basically that's it in this Kita part. The next one is capacity surrendering. It's really similar to secondary trading, but one key element is that here only for Klaipėdos entry point at LNG terminal, only for that point, the request can be submitted in here, because as the same with Kemėnai and Santaka, those have to be submitted to our operators. And only for Klaipėda, the request can be submitted here. So also how it's done, basically if you possess the necessary capacity, you choose the validity from when to when you would like to surrender it. You type in the connection point. Basically, it shows all the connection points, but as I mentioned, it can be done only on Klaipėdos point. And you type the necessary amount and basically submit the request. If I filter out, it should be, yeah, accepted. The main thing about that is that capacity surrender works in that case that if your requested amount will be allocated to other counterparty only if the all free Ethereum capacity is booked at that moment. If not, after the validity ends, the initial request is closed and the amount is returned to you. So basically you are you have to pay for it in the end. So this is important to keep that in mind. Next thing is consumption capacities. This is relevant to those who have clients in DSO's network, because for them it's mandatory to provide forecast to DSO, and this information only reaches us automatically from them. First, it reaches us as forecast. It shows. Next, after each month, it is displayed as fact. And in the end, after the year has ended, it will be displayed as final one. So if this is relevant to you, if you have clients in the DSO system, then you will basically see some information here. If not, this will be empty for you. That's it regarding the capacity. Now, the nomination basically has two options, nomination and nomination review. The first one is basically the submission of nominations themselves. It's mandatory to provide nominations basically for only few connection points. It's for Kemenai and Santaka. For Klaipėda, in that case, it's not mandatory because you provide nominations to LNG operator, Klaipėdos Nafta, so they administrate all the nominations and they provide them to us, and we will add them to your account on your behalf. So this has to be done only for Kemenai and Santaka for matching to be done. And also, if you trade on virtual trading point to some other user, then VTPLT nominations as such have to be submitted as well. Also, all the information from GetBaltic will come automatically, as it is with the current system. Also will be displayed as VTPLT. Just counterparty will be GetBaltic in that case. So how the nomination is being submitted, you basically select the gas day which is relevant to you, click new. It's possible for you to load them from the previous days if you have the same nominations and they basically continue for all the months. You can do that from the loading point, but for now we will do from the new one. You basically select the connection point from which you want to submit nomination, the direction, counterparty for Kemenai and Santaka points. Usually it's the same company as you represent. This is relevant for VTPLT nominations when you are trading. I submit some kind of amount. Here it's daily value, but it will be displayed in hourly regime. So nomination type Santaka Kemenai, it's double-sided. On VTPLT, it can be both ways. I will then explain it a little bit later. Click on save. When I click on the line, in initial, it was only entered. It's still not yet submitted, so it's important for you to submit. But before that, I would like to take into account that when you click on the line on the right, you will see the hourly distribution. It's really important for the matching process with our system operator because the values should match on both sides. It's really important on Santaka, and for Santaka, you cannot submit nomination for past hours. It's only submission for the future. So I, for example, know that I have 1000 kilowatts as hourly capacity. So I can amend it to 1000, for example, and submit the nomination. It should be, yes, it got accepted. After you done the same on the other system operator, then matching procedure would take place, and you should see the confirmed amount, the same 18,000 with the response. What is being done with Gemini, for example? If, for example, I try to book to nominate at that point. What the difference with Santaka here? You can see you are able to book you are able to provide the nomination for all the hours, even the past ones. So because Conexo system accepts and process the daily value, but it's to have a fluent procedure matching. It's better for you to have the same hourly values provided to us and also to them, because if I'm not mistaken, the system also lets you distribute the hourly values also. How it works, basically, if your value doesn't distribute from 24 equally, then it basically divides it for the first 23 hours the same number, and all the remaining amount leaves to the last hour. So when nominating, it's really important that you nominate the same amount to both operators. In that case, the nomination matching process will be as fluent as possible in that case. So keep that in mind that Santaka lets you nominate only for the upcoming hours, and Gemini lets you nominate for all the gas hours. If I try to nominate, for example, now with Gemini, it should get rejected because I do not have the capacity booked. So it will basically get rejected. You can check all the acknowledgement messages, no valid capacity contract on the network point, then you know that you have to book some capacity in order to nominate. What is regarding the VTP-LT? If you have a counterparty for which you are selling the gas, I don't know, on daily, on monthly basis, you have to nominate those. So this is basically can be done in two ways, as double-sided or on single-sided principle. As double-sided, to suggest both counterparties have to submit the nomination that one is a seller, other is buyer. Seller is as exit, buyer is as entry point. But if this being done even on the within day, then the nomination should be even submitted at the same gas hour, because if you submit on different gas hours, then it probably will not match and you will have a lesser result than you are nominating. But the more, I think, easier principle is single-sided principle, when only one side needs to submit the nomination. It basically can be arranged between two counterparties who does the providing of such information to us. Only one important key part is that if you want to submit single-sided nominations, then these pairs have to be entered in our internal system. So we have to know as operator for whom you are submitting those kinds of VTP-LT nominations. So it's important, because if you, for example, have 5 VTP nominations for different counterparties, and 4 of them are processed and arranged in our system, but one is still not entered, then when you submit all 5, all of them will be rejected immediately, because in Edigas world this comes as one message. So unless you inform us and we add the new pair into your account, then all the 5 will be accepted in that case. So hopefully you think that single-sided principle will be used more often. So how it's basically done, you choose VTPLT, you select that, for example, it's usually done by the seller as it is done now. So exit, I choose the counterparty for whom I will sell. I enter a daily value, I save it. In VTPLT, it's also lets you provide nomination for all the past hours. Basically, it doesn't matter. It's important if you provide this as double-sided, then our counterparty needs to have the same hourly distribution as well. But if it's only single-sided, then it doesn't matter. Basically, you can leave all the amount to the last hour. Important thing that these nominations can be submitted until 6:30 a.m. So half an hour till the gas day itself will already end. So keep that in mind. After that, no additional modifications will be allowed by the system. The nomination end of at Kemenai and Santaka is the same, 4 a.m. in the morning. It doesn't change. So I will try to submit this nomination. Oh, it got rejected in some case. Oh, okay, because yeah. Basically, no single-sided nomination is allowed with the shipper pair. So what I mentioned before, because there isn't such pair arranged in our internal system, it will be rejected. So if I would like to nominate, now I would need to do that as double-sided or contact AmberGit. They will add the JSON party to my account, and I will be able to nominate, to just click modify, basically leave the same, and to submit a newer version for me, and that should be accepted in the end. I will not do that now, but basically to have the point of view in that case shown. If you click on valid, if you remove the valid records, it shows all the versions that was submitted. So if, for example, you have a lot of versions, you can take off the validity records. You will see all the nominations that you have submitted. If you leave it on, then you will show it will be shown the latest version which you have submitted. So regarding, I think the nomination, it's one important thing. If in the current system it was necessary to for within day nominations to it was kind of on daily basis that clients would submit the nominations, because there was no possibility to book within day capacity on our current system. So in order to have correct data, users usually submitted nominations, but now at domestic exit points, if you have some clients, then it's not mandatory for you to submit nominations. As you can see, here is no domestic exit point listed. So basically what you have to do, if you see that your consumption is larger than you have capacity on some domestic exit point, basically you have to go to offered capacities, search for a necessary connection point, and just book some within day, or even if you know that in advance, you have to book some additional capacity, and that's it. If you have enough capacity and the consumption itself doesn't exceed that, it's all good. So basically nominations are required at interconnection points and at VTPLT, virtual trading point. So regarding this, I think that's it. Next one is nomination overview. Basically, as the name suggests, you can, using the filter, you can sort out all the nominations by the day, by the connection point, and that's all. You can see the nomination itself, the status of itself, and that's so on. So it's a really useful tool to have in order to have this data reviewed for you. So basically no import, just for the reviewing purposes. Next tab is settlement. No input is required in here. Basically, only the information for viewing. The first one is imbalance. Here, as the names probably suggest, you can see the daily balance generated to your account. So here we can see zeros, but if there are some surplus amount or deficit, then it will be shown as other number. Basically, after each gas day ended, you will see the imbalance will be calculated and will be displayed here. So not much to say about it. In the top part, it's total imbalance, which means for your system user which you represent. On bottom part, it's portfolio imbalance. What it means that if you have an agreement to balance the some other system user, then you will see that additional user in this part. So if you are balancing some other account, you will be able to see it here. It basically lets you filter out from all the users, but you will basically see only that one which is arranged and modified in our system. So if you are not balancing any other user, then this will be basically empty. Other part is allocation. Also, after each gas day is ended, the allocation amount is calculated, and you will be able to see it in this part. As you can see now, for example, for 20th of September, at one point it was as exit point, and at Santaca it was entered. You have some minor surplus amount. It will be generated as imbalance, for example, but basically you can see at any given connection point using by the filter and also by the validity of it, you can sort out necessary gas day and see the necessary amounts. On top part, it's provisional allocation, which being done after each gas day, and on the bottom part is definitive allocation, final ones, which are being allocated already after the gas month has ended to be calculated, and you will see the final information here. Also, all the information this concerns imbalance allocation. It's possible for you to click on the right mouse button and export it in any format you like. It basically Excel, CSV, XML format, and have some information for you to process additionally. So if necessary, please also use that export possibility. Now the second part is forecast. Basically, this is the same as with consumption capacities. If you have clients in DSO network system, DSO is obliged for you to provide forecast. It's being done 3 times a day, so 3 versions in total. So if you have any clients, then this will have some information. Now we do not have it here, but basically we'll see some total exit amount for the specific gas day, for which the DSO is forecasting that you have such consumptions on that. So this information is only usable for those who have some relations with DSO. So if not, this will be as the same as with consumption capacity, is empty. Now, 2 really similar parts, partner details. Basically here you can see the basic information about your company. Here it suggests that you can make some modifications, but basically we would like to